Hi guys, we're at part 17, Turnabout the Lighthouse of Lunacy, Act 3, and, well, it certainly seems this has reached a stalemate.
Both sides claim the security check does not fit into the opposing narrative. And while attempts were made to justify each position, none of them were convincing. Consequently, it also isn't a refutation of the plaintiff's position. Please return to the cross-examination.
Still not enough, huh? Fine, I'll keep this up all day if I have to. How long do all of you intend to continue this farce? Even you must have realised this line of argumentation is guaranteed to be perpetually fruitless. I was going to say, because in the last video we took out 2 lines of attack on her testimony, so I was hoping that we don't have to go and find a third one, but it seems like she's shutting that down. Which, you know what? For once, you're doing something I want you to do, Victoria, so thanks. Even you must have realised this line of argumentation is guaranteed to be perpetually fruitless. And I do agree.
What do you mean, Miss Preston?
Well, I don't agree that my points that I already brought up weren't relevant. I just don't think there's anything else to be gained from that testimony. The defendant's new approach to discrediting my case is more illogical than anything prior. She is attempting to take a handful of phenomena, the victim's actions, and simply claim them senseless. In more precise terms, she is trying to question the victim's motives, and therein lies the fallacy. Another person's thoughts is one of the most unknowable noumena. They're one of the most unprovable things. I am not so certain that you are thinking anything at all, Aurelia. I do not think you can prove me wrong. What's your point? Like it or not, the victim's motives are kind of vital here. I would dispute that, but I will descend to your mental level and ask you a simple question. Is Hegel a realist or an anti-realist with regards to metaphysical knowledge? What? How is that a simple question? Precisely. Hegel described himself as an idealist and subscribed to so-called absolute idealism. Yet I have seen many people argue that he was actually a realist, if you read his works a certain way. An asinine debate that never manages to progress anywhere. Because the subject is long dead, he can no longer provide any information. If what he left behind wasn't clear enough to the average mind, they will argue in circles for eternity. You've lost me on a much more fundamental level, but whatever floats your boat, woman. Of course, the answer is readily apparent to anyone with a modicum of my intelligence. Hegel was a flat-headed, insipid, nauseating, illiterate charlatan. No clue who you are, Hegel, but I can relate. What are you trying to say? That it's pointless to talk about this because the victim is dead? I don't think being dead allows you to be immune to scrutiny. What you are indulging in is pseudo-reasoning and abstract speculation. It's called trying to disprove your case because you have to prove that she intended to commit murder by reasonable doubt, and if you can't do that, then you have to accept a plea of self-defense at minimum. Of course, we're talking Ace Attorney laws here, so things might be different. The victim... Oh, I could pass it on. By mistake. She can no longer explain why she set up that security check, or why she didn't use her gun. Which is why those actions need to speak for themselves. Do you still not comprehend what I explained to you a minute ago? Clearly, her actions are too arcane to be taken one way or another. She didn't use the gun, which may seem strange, but doesn't support your murder thesis either. She set up a security check of questionable purpose. Again, this does not help her with murder. Yes, you may have called into question that the victim was worried about her safety. Yet there is nothing here that makes your murder thesis any less speculative. I'm still waiting for the chance to bring this up. Only draw this weapon if you are truly prepared to kill. She took the knife from the display stand because she was truly prepared to kill. I mean, it still casts on the testimony at the very least. Although if this is speculation, that plaque probably would also fall into that. The plaintiff's testimony was about your theory being baseless before you derailed it as usual. You have done nothing to deny that original point. I'm getting there. Did you have to point it out?
Now that you mentioned we've certainly strayed from what we were talking about before. Miss Chase, I don't really understand where you're trying to go with this.
Neither do I, Your Honor.
You propose a spontaneous murder plot, but none of these issues even pertain to that. The gun might be an odd point, but otherwise it's fairly immaterial what the victim was doing before today.
Sorry, had to look for any issues I found. The look on your face is everything. It was a bluff all along. Duh, I literally am going into this not knowing shit. Fuck all time to prepare, and you control everything, and you've locked us in this tower. Can we end this? It's time to collect the winnings. Guess it was just hot air after all. Should have seen it coming, really.
Yes, he's a slippery one. Let's book her already.
Nelland, is that you then?
No, I am just a guy who sounds really posh. This is my posh voice. My posh, but also kind of a dick.
Ugh, I'm losing my momentum. Damn it, I thought she'd let something useful slip. But these issues are best but a tiny crack in her vision of events. Something is off here. I know it. These events have to fit into the bigger picture somehow.
Anything you'd like to say in the defense, Miss Chase? Or has all of this just been an attempt to stall?
The issues I pointed out are actually very relevant, Your Honor. Time to wing it. At first glance, there was no way that the gun being brought beforehand could factor into the victim's plan. After all, I propose that she only conceived this plan when she saw me today. However, what if, in reality, all this was much more premeditated? Transient reasoning. You really do love to change in whatever you deem convenient. That's not very fair. Of course, all just my thoughts based on new information. Only someone very conceited would insist on having been right all the time.
You mean these actions reveal a premeditated plan by victim? I hope you're not trying to say something shocking.
Logically, it seems very impossible Miss Holden could have known I'd be here in advance. I've already let that info slip in the group chat of the Queens of Crime. That limits the number of people that knew to 3. Lillian, Claire, and Russian Spider Girl. Lillian and Claire would never leak this to anyone. I'm not sure about the new girl, but Claire vouched for her. Could this be related to the potential stalking I noticed? I had forgotten about the other Queens of Crime, to be honest. I only remembered Lillian and her. Well, she's a former member. That has not been relevant since the very first episode, which I recorded like 5 months ago now. So, yeah. I might have to rewatch that for to check on that Queens of Crime business. And the stalking thing I can't remember anything about. For now, it's not important how Miss Holden knew. Let's assume she found out somehow. I think I've said it clearly enough. Thankfully, even the standards of this court are not that unelevated. I'll be generous and start with the marginally easier points. Surely you must concede that the security check would still not be relevant at all. The victim ordered the guard to specifically note down suspicious items. There can very much be a deeper purpose to that if you think about it.
This is the reason then. What would the security check have accomplished for this plot?
Establish that I brought a weapon. Establish that Miss Holden had no weapon. make Mr. Guard look incompetent? Well, it would establish that she brought a weapon. The check established that I brought a gun with me. Evidently, a 5-year-old could have reasoned out that much. How does that serve any plan in any manner at all? Now wait just a second. Could I actually turn their own case around on me? It's pretty obvious what this accomplished. Just think about the current case. After all, that fact severely incriminates me. So she was going to make it look like self-defense because... Well, of course I had to kill her. She pulled a gun on me. Huh? She pulled a gun on me while she was searching my room. So I had to kill her to defend myself. So, you know, it's... Because that would solve the issue we had earlier, because the issue we had earlier was there's people waiting around outside. They saw her going, which I'd forgotten about until they brought it back up. But yeah, these guys weren't just around for the moment of the murder, they were there the whole time.
I'm not sure I follow this, Chase. I thought you were talking about the plan to murder you as a frame-up.
Why not both? As pointed out earlier, there would have been no easy way to carry out this murder quietly. However, if I provably brought a gun with me, it would be much easier to excuse it.
Excuse it, you say?
She had a gun. I was just defending myself. Mrs. Holden could have argued something like that. What patent speculative nonsense.
So you claim that the intent was to frame you. Regardless, this still doesn't explain why the victim purchased the gun.
Right. The gun she brought is the strongest point against the plaintiff's case. She brought the gun and didn't use it because she was like, oh, she caught me by surprise. If I had an actual reason for why she decided not to use it, this might have a leg to stand on. Miss Holden did not end up using the gun. This suggests that it might have been some kind of contingency. The gun was a backup plan in case I didn't show up, I didn't sneak into the study, I challenged her to a duel. I didn't bring a gun myself. So... I do want to say for the lols, she was afraid I might challenge her to a duel.
A duel? Like with the cards?
No, I meant she brought a gun.
Oh, I see. My grandson must have been talking about something else.
Obviously, he would have dueled with guns. That's the reasonable scenario.
Certainly. Are you challenging me, Miss Chase? Nothing about this is remotely realistic.
Aurelia is not even worth challenging to a duel of common sense.
In that case, how about we duel who can penalise each other first?
I doubt penalising the judge is a good idea, so I'll have to concede. I have something more sane to propose. I didn't show up. In case I didn't show up to this auction at all.
Why would a gun be important in that case?
Well, think about it. I'd clearly be out of reach of a knife. So she'd need a long distance weapon to still be able to hit me. In my home. In a different city. Penalise her.
Right away.
Worryingly trigger happy, although I did deserve it. Well, not for the real reason. Well, those two could be... Either of these could be correct ones, so I'll need to guess and take a penalty if I get it wrong, to be fair. I didn't sneak into the study. I didn't bring a gun myself. No. If she didn't bring a gun herself, I don't think that would make sense. I'm going to say didn't sneak into the study. The plan wouldn't have worked without me entering a secluded place. She had the second plan in case it didn't happen.
I'm not quite sure I follow.
Because there's nothing worthwhile to follow here. If you had stayed here, you would have been constantly watched by witnesses. How would having a gun helped getting around that? First she shoots me, and then well. Precisely. That would have been a more atrocious plan than you'd seen even the most asinine mystery. She would have been arrested faster than your mental development.
The strike is even worse than all the previous attempts to explain this gun. Please take this trial seriously if you want it to continue.
I think I got something better. So it really is I didn't bring a gun myself. The key point here is that I brought my gun. However, there's no guarantee that I would. I presume Mrs. Holden kept a spare gun in case I wouldn't show up with one.
Why was it so important that a gun was involved?
Because then she could plant the gun on Aurelia and then write it into the logs that, you know, she bought. Or maybe say she's not going to. Because their plan required me to have one. Oh no, she couldn't have wrote it in the logs unless she planned to go guard as well. And considering he's dead, no. I reckon he's dead for another reason. But like I said before, she wanted to make it look like self-defense. It was important that I had a firearm, and she merely a knife.
My goodness! All of this was planned out. Could that really be?
Obviously bluffing. There's no coherent plan here. Well, let me explain the whole idea from the top. Time to push back at full force. Contrary to what I thought before, Mrs. Holden was already aware that I would show up today. The motive remains the same, however. She thought I was planning to come here to look into her shady business. She must have also known that I owed this gun, prompting her to buy one herself. Now, if I hadn't bought my gun, she would have slipped her own into the study. But since I did bring it, which she could confirm with the guard, that wasn't necessary. The plan was, from the start, to kill me while I was looking around and then make it look like self-defense. Remember how the auction got stopped? Mrs. Holden showed us that the knife would be the next item for sale. It's a little questionable. Why would she spoil a surprise just before deciding to take a break? This is part of my calculations as well. She wanted to show that she just happened to have that knife on her person at the time. During the break, I did indeed go into the study as she predicted. Here's where the gun comes in. Now I don't know what she would have done if Aurelia hadn't gone anywhere during that break. Even if I was trespassing, it would look bad if she just stabbed an unarmed person. That's why she had the gun to potentially plant if push came to shove. Me bringing my own gun was more than ideal for her. Which is what ended up happening, explaining why she brought a gun but didn't use it. That may explain those points away, but the plan is utterly idiotic. You bringing your own gun was ideal, you suggest? The fact that you brought your gun is how she ended up getting shot. We discussed this before. She definitely aimed to take me by complete surprise. If she hadn't accidentally made a sound, I'd have cleanly gotten my neck sliced without ever seeing it. Unsettling to think about how close of a call that was. Speaking of clean, this ties into the reason she brought the spread. And how did she make a noise again? I forgot. From what I'm aware of, blood pattern analysis is pretty advanced these days. Depending on the stains produced, it would have given away that my neck got sliced from behind. Mrs. Holden intended to clean up the scene accordingly to obscure this. Once that had been done, we can imagine what was likely meant to be the final step. She probably intended to fire a shot at the wall, or even shoot herself in a non-lethal spot. That would have attracted everyone to the scene and really sold the script. Probably intended, might have done this or that. It really always is the same non-logic with you. You cannot point to a single fact that even remotely suggests someone intended to frame you. Funny you'd ask, because there actually is one thing. Something we talked about at great length earlier in this trial, as a matter of fact. Turns out, all of that still wasn't enough for Mrs. Holden. Someone could very well have suspected she used the gun herself. Which is why she prepared one more trick to establish me as the culprit. To establish me as the culprit to anyone listening. I'm thinking the TV. Earlier, we established that the show would voice sounds like earlier we established the show and the voice of sounds like mine happened to be on air at the time.
Indeed, the Reaper show. What about it?
I think it was Reap What You Sow. Anyway, that show really just happened to be on at the time. I propose that rather than being an unlikely coincidence, it actually happened by design. Another common, unsurprising argument.
By design? But who could have planned for something like that? Are you suggesting someone from the TV channel is involved in this?
No. Nobody would have been able to predict when the break would happen. To have any chance of reliably using this trick, you'd need to have control of the auction schedule. It could have been employed by the one and one person only, the host, Mrs. Holt. She could have very much timed the break to match up with the show. If she knew the script, she just needed to turn up the volume on the TV at the right moment. Perfect way to fake an altercation in which I sound like the aggressor. With no recording and only a half-broken TV in the room, nobody would ever have questioned it. And that is the full extent of the planned framing. All of what you said is merely projection. Your asinine theory is that the victim tried to kill you and have it appear to be self-defense. That's precisely what you're pathetically attempting yourself right now. To pass off your murder as justified. Can you prove me wrong? Fortunately, that is not how matters work. Even if it was a brainlessly supposed everything you proposed was true, are you not forgetting something? The entirety of this hypothetical plan relies on you illegally entering the study first. You would be firmly in the wrong either way. Even if this plan existed, nothing of it ever played out. Mrs. Holden did not kill you. She did not use your gun to fake an attack on herself. You drew a gun and shot the victim while trespassing. That's simply the end of the story. Well, no, because if she was planning to use that knife, you know, it would be self-defense from her. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure how the law actually works on this. It's like, let's say if I go into a place that I'm not supposed to go, someone, you know, who owns the place pulls out a gun on me, and I say, alright, you know, I'll get out of your hair. But then he, like, you know, he's moving in. He looks like he's going to shoot. He's got his finger on the trigger. I literally pull out my pistol and shoot him, you know, because he literally looks like he's about to kill me. I think I have no choice. Would I still be in the wrong for that? I'm not sure how the laws might differ depending on different countries, so who knows. You're saying it makes no difference whatsoever? I hope she doesn't have a point.
Miss Preston has a point.
Figures.
It is possible that Miss Holden was planning to do something like this, but this appears to be immaterial to your culpability for the crimes you committed. As mentioned earlier, the victim is legally presumed to have acted in self-defense. In order to prove otherwise, one would have to show Miss Holden used unreasonable force. Given that you drew your gun during the confrontation, that would be quite difficult to prove indeed. If we add the fact that you were not in a place you were lawfully allowed to be, it becomes almost impossible for you to enter a self-defense plea yourself.
So, if that all is true, someone found out about her plan and planned to shoot her from underneath. And then either they filled in the holes, which would mean there's only there's a number of suspects, or they had someone else to it as an accomplice. But, you know, they shot her because that would be the perfect situation in which to frame Aurelia. Thank you for siding with justice, Your Honor. It would be outrageously stupid if any burglar could claim self-defense that easily. Such nonsense. This trial should be stained by it. Let me spell out well none of your claims matter. Any more testimony on you. Hopefully it's a bit longer than the last one. Nice try, but none of the things in your theorized plan actually happened. And even if they were meant to, your guilt is still a safe bet. Nope. Still two statements. It wouldn't hurt to be a little more elaborative just once. Why would I say anything beyond the essence of my point? She can't keep getting away with this! She can't keep getting away with this!
Susan Holden, she's the devil.
Do you know the best method to never lose a gamble? Not playing in the first place, I guess. You have to play, of course. Hedged bets. I've already accounted for every possible way you could argue against this. And I made sure I lose in absolutely none of them. Sounds just like Victoria. I can see how this girl hired her.
Let me make something clear, Miss Chase. You tried arguing you didn't fire the shot, which went nowhere. Now you've tried portraying a matter of self-defense, which has also gone nowhere. I have been rather lenient so far due to the unconventional nature of this trial. However, I will not tolerate much more of this. Are we understood?
I understand, John. Has all of this just made things worse? If I try to take a step forward and then step back 2 steps, I'd better find some breathing room before this oppressive trial suffocates me. One thing I've been thinking about is, you know, her gun was definitely in her hand. Unless, like, someone switched the guns at some point, which, you know, we have no reason to believe there's more guns than these two, which look completely different. Unless that happened, there's a 91% match with the defendant's gun. And these shots are, what does it say? 99% match. What if they got really, really lucky? I know. Seems a bit unusual. But, you know, that could be the thing. We're talking about gambling. This crime could be the ultimate gamble by Susan Holden. To kill her own mother, maybe. But, it could be the ultimate gamble. Who knows? What was I going to say? The fact that she brought up what are the chances of rolling 10 ones in a row? Well, isn't that kind of like what's the deal with these guns? What are the chances of them, the bullets looking so similar to the ballistic markings, but not being from them? Well, this one is notably a little lower of a chance of being the right gun for the bullet. I better find some breathing room before this oppressive trial suffocates me. The unwinnable gamble. And we only have one chance here, it seems. I theorized this plan based on events you yourself admitted to. You mean like buying a gun? Is it a crime now? It is here in the UK if you don't have a license, but... And I'm pretty sure it is in Japan too, so... Oh wait, no, this is America. This is a hybrid of America and Japan with a very crazy legal system where you can also get guns. Actually, there's you know, some translation limitations in the Turner series. Like in the second case of Justice for All Reunion and Turnabout, we have the fact that wait, Turner Grey had a gun, but guns are illegal, even though it ostensibly takes place in America, even though the original game is obviously Japan. But and then they make it a point, well, he had to buy it from the black market. That means that he was buying it specifically for this day, which is, you know, his crazy plan to, I guess, kill Maya if things went wrong. Well, that plan is no more crazy than what this victim seems to have done. In fact, it's a little less crazy, honestly. She's saying something. It's firing a gun as criminal, but that's not something she did now, is it? The point is, she intended to use it in a crime. Mens rea is insufficient without the act. You naturally lack the qualifications to know that.
Indeed, you can't be found guilty of an attempted crime for merely intending to do it. It must be accompanied by an action. This action must go beyond preparation.
Well, does drawing the knife and going to stop her not count as... Well, I didn't believe her on that one yet. You see, the cards you hold are totally worthless. This plan would only have become criminal the moment Mother tried to stab you in the back. But that's not what happened now, is it? You turned around before anything violent went down. Mother never stabbed you. She didn't shoot herself. And she never framed you with the TV. And without that, you got absolutely nothing to pin on her. Do you want to argue about any of this? We haven't looked at the fingerprints on this yet. Can you add the part about the victim not using the TV to your testimony? Here we go again. Guess I got no choice but to waste everyone's time. Mother didn't interact with the TV. Using that show to frame you was purely your speculation. She didn't turn on the TV? How can you be sure? We had some witnesses clearly hear the voices from that show, no? Nice try, but that's just what you say. I don't remember any decisive proof the TV was on. I did not say those words. Real facts, let me tell these to you. Miss Mariko did not see my mother go anywhere close to the TV. And surely here or you would have noticed if she used something like this instead. Well, she got an accomplice to it. But she'd have any reason to use the remote. She was right inside the room after all. Right. And she'd have no reason to turn on the TV before dealing with him. Still, someone must have turned it on at some point. It's the only way to explain those words. If it wasn't Miss Holden, then who? I can't get sidetracked for now. If it wasn't her, there's no contradiction to work with here. So we press and get another one of them statements. We'll go back to that. We'll go back to that after this. We'll have to agree to disagree. Are you serious right now? Do you need me to spell it out again? Sure, that might help me understand. Please just give me something to work with. You're clearly in denial. Here's what the cards on the table say. 1. You were the only other person who entered that room. This was breaking the law. Breaking the law. Breaking the law. Not even you ever disputed this. 2. The gunshot is the only lethal wound. Your gun. Let's remember that it came from that. 3. Mother didn't come to harm anyone in any other way. Mother didn't come to harm in any other way, except by your actions, only yours. So to deny the obvious, you killed her, and there's no excuse you can make. I can't really look for any worse at this point, so maybe I should risk looking into one of these. Only one who entered the room. Gunshot is the only lethal wound. I was the only one to harm the victim. Heavy amount of sweat present on the victim's face. That's a point we haven't brought up yet. Oh. No evident cause as well. That's could become relevant at some point. She had some kind of, I don't know, medication which caused sweating. Who knows? Say I was the only one to harm the victim. I don't know what I would say to that because her blood was on the other crime scene. Mind explaining again how, or completely these holes. Mind explaining again how I'm the only one that harmed the victim? Good idea. That's something I will gladly add to my testimony. You didn't have to go that far. Oh no, let's really make that point as clear as possible. You're the only one who caused harm to my mother. Why should we even consider anyone else? That could be a couple of times in those holes. How would you know that for sure? I reissued the autopsy report. Well, it does mention some of the wounds aside from just a gunshot, right? Even if they're not lethal per se, doesn't that leave room for multiple people harming the victim? You can't be serious. How do I put this? Those were obviously caused by your struggle with my mother. They're still on you. You can't know that. I know that you have nothing to show otherwise. Well, I do have something to show that the finger cut was somewhere else. Last time I checked, there was no other fight my mother was involved in yesterday. Accept it. Nobody else contributed to her death. Your fault, 100%. It's admittedly a bit of a long shot. But is there anything that might even just slightly take some of the guilt off me? Hate to say it, but her argument is as solid as it's concise. I don't think I'll be able to keep aiming for a simple self-defense argument. Well, I can really only do what I've done last time. Press her for clarification, then try and find some consistency in my house now. With the feeling it won't be as easy as last time. I really need a new angle. Anything to reveal a new aspect to this case, a new area to explore. It can't end here. There's so much this girl and Victoria don't even want to talk about. And what will happen during the last break? Why won't you talk to me? What happened during the last break? Why won't you talk to me? You're the one who caused harm to my mother. Why should we even consider anyone else? Now, this autopsy. This is the one that mentioned, yeah. Her blood found in the edge of one case. Hey. This is a stretch even by my standards. But if I play it right... That is factually wrong. I'm not the only one that harmed the victim. Next bluff, here it comes. This is no bluff, Miss Holden. If anyone tried to bluff their way through things, it's Victoria over there. After all, she's to skim past a pretty important detail in this. The autopsy? You can't just baselessly claim that these wounds weren't all caused by your struggle with my mother? You're mistaken. This is the second autopsy. The one performed on Mr. Guard. The victim you all don't want to talk about.
I don't see how that relates to what harm came to our victim, Miss Chase.
The devil's in the details. Read carefully, Your Honor. Whose blood was found on a nearby display case?
Mrs. Holden's!
I'm not sure if Victoria hoped that this is a typo or something, but there's no way the detective could make such a mistake. She seems like the type to triple check everything. We need to appreciate two facts here. The victim's, our victim's, blood is on that display case. And I had absolutely no access to the lower floor, ever. Seems like someone other than me harmed Miss Holden after all. Asinine as always. That may have been a mere accident for what it is worth. Elucidate us. How would the victim have lost this tiny bit of blood? Certainly not from her deep chest wound. It'd have to have been from the cut in her finger, I suppose. Indeed, if you are able to see that, maybe you also see how decidedly inconsequential this is. Yeah, who cares about some tiny cut in her hand? Big deal. What, are you going to say that killed her somehow? Well, it seems unlikely. This is my chance to form a connection to the other crime scene. You have to make this work. You cannot rule out it killed the victim. The autopsy does not specifically say the gunshot was the cause of death. It's cardiac arrest. It's obviously caused by the bullet in her heart.
I'm not sure I quite follow what you're trying to suggest, Miss Chase. Surely you're not saying a small cut like that could be relevant.
And what if I what? Now, I'm starting to get an idea here. The sweat that I just brought up earlier, no evident cause. The glass display case, which was broken before he died. Only draw this weapon if you're clear. Now, what if there was some kind of toxic substance on, like, the glass? So she cuts her hand, no, cuts her finger, I mean, and the blood mixes with what's in the glass, or is coated on the glass, and that causes her to go all sweaty and, you know, have a heart attack. So she falls down. And in that moment, Aurelia's like, wait, did I shoot her? I don't think I did. Or maybe shoots and misses, but I'm not really sure. Like, the bullet did go missing, so they would have had to work that out. So it's not a fully perfect theory yet. But if she fell, that would create the opportunity to shoot her. And where's the map again? That's where the victim ended up. Yep, directly below the victim. Second 205 meters west. So, they have to know where the victim was. Or just fired 2 shots up, you know, as a guess. But, you know, to make it look like getting shot was the cause. And what if I was?
Oh, how would a small cause that result in her death?
What if something like this was involved? I was thinking exactly that, poison. Infection, probably not, because it would take too long for it to happen. And there'd probably be signs on the fingertip. Blood loss, no. Even a small cut could be deadly depending on what enters the body through it. The right poison or venom might very well have killed it. What complete gibberish. Poison, really? I will allow myself to dismiss this by invoking Hitchens' razor. Once again, in English, please. What has a razor got to do with this? Hitchens' razor. I think I actually know this one. It's Christopher Hitchens, who's a very good debater and journalist. Hitchens' razor is what is presented without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. So, for once, I actually got one of Victoria's references. How could I ever forget you are familiar with any concept of epistemology? Perhaps you have at least heard of Russell's teapot? Quod gratis assuetur gratis negator? I haven't heard of that one. What part of in English was unclear to you? It really shouldn't be too hard to comprehend. What may be asserted without evidence may just as well be dismissed without evidence. There's absolutely nothing backing up this ridiculous poison claim. Nothing in the autopsy report remotely suggests it. Except for the sweat? Do you seriously believe we will simply accept this? Sounds to me like you have no way to contradict my claim either. Jonas Probandi, decidedly rests with you. Don't think you can forward an appeal to ignorance. I don't have the burden to disprove your unproven nonsense. No need to get violent. I heard the message. There's actually one thing in this autopsy report backing me up on this. So, if you'd stop interrupting before I finish my points, that'd be helpful.
The victim's autopsy reported poisoning theory. A possibility is never even mentioned in the report.
We're obviously dealing with something subtle here, but there is one thing in that report which cannot be explained by the gunshot hypothesis. And it's something that poison might be able to make sense of. This has to be your worst bluff yet. Call. Show us the part you think backs you up. Sure, I'll call. This part right here could be explained by poisoning the victim's system. What does it say this way? Heavy amount of sweat present on subject's face. No evident cause. This right here. The victim's face was covered in an uncanny amount of sweat. Something that does not track with the light struggle she had at there. A poisonous substance might just be able to cause that kind of symptom. So you're really doubling down on this. I see that's still total stretch.
It's true that the sweat is not accounted for by the plaintiff's version of events.
Oh, and you think this makes any more sense? You think this isn't an excuse to say my mother conveniently died from poison before she was shot?
I didn't say that, but...
Someone poisoned a display case and my mother cut herself on it? That's just, how do I put this? Complete nonsense. That's what. I say we'll let the detective clean up this mess right away. Easy confirmation. She can clarify whether my mother could have been poisoned or not. We will do no such thing. What? You're going to let this stand? Again? You're not calm enough to make this decision? What do you think it is that Aurelia wants the most at this moment? I don't know, maybe for you to not even fight her ridiculous claims? She doesn't have self-awareness to know how easy Strasline theories are disproven. What she's really aiming to acquire is further testimony. If the detective is called to the stand, Aurelia will certainly press her with various irrelevant queries. Again, you know, it's not your job to try and shut down, stop us from looking deeper into the case. It's your job to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. This is, you know, I mean, if I was on the jury, I would say this was reasonable doubt. You're not even going to test the glass. Given Dr. Hellinger's inclination to avoid assumptions, I have no doubt some possibility will be conceded. I will not subscribe to any more of their headache-inducing manoeuvres. Shame. But your stubbornness means that you only have to report itself to Lena. Without anyone giving an alternate explanation for the sweat, my point is backed. I believe you have any ground to stand on with this. If you say poison was on that display case, then how come Dr. Hellinger made no mention of it? Who knows, it could be something that's very hard to detect, even with her equipment. Feel free to pull up to the stand so we can ask her about it. Because you can't just be bringing hearsay into the court. We've had enough of that in this series. You've got to be kidding me! Whatever then, we don't need her to take care of this. It can only be poison in that case if someone actually had a chance to put it there. Now if we do call it to the stand, we'll have had her, these three, and we will have had everyone to the stand. We never got to have him on the stand, unfortunately. He was around enough in the investigation at least, so. There could only be poison in that case if someone actually had a chance to put it there. But that lower floor had been locked for ages. Nobody even had access to it. Nobody had access to that floor? No, I disagree. This person recently demonstrated that they very much have access to the lower floor. Now, it's time, because, you know, I did say earlier, she could have been trying to kill her own mother, because who else would she confide in with her plan to kill Aurelia but Susan herself, and the Susan could have been like, I want to kill my mother for some reason, so I'm going to blame it on Aurelia. How about this? Oh. I don't know the implications of that. Well, I can't say I'm too fond of you suing me either. Guess it evens out.
What do we imply exactly?
It's pretty straightforward, John. The claim that nobody had access to the lower floor holds absolutely no water. If that were true, how come we were able to send people to investigate it? Our captain generously enabled the elevator access. I assume both she and Himmler are capable of it. And if she was able to do it now, who's to say she didn't do it before? To set up a poisonous trap, for example. Outrageous does not even begin to describe this atrocious accusation. Mere possibilities are of no consequence. Why would the victim even head down there and touch that display case just before the auction? The reason doesn't matter much now, does it? The blood is clear proof she was there. The blood proves no such thing. If you're going to be that frivolous, I shall respond adequately. That blood? You cannot prove according to the display case that recent. It could have been there for years for all you know. Nonsense. Then what about the cut in the victim's finger? My position on that has been clear from the beginning. Would you not be able to tell how long blood has been there? I mean, especially with those fancy hunt devices. Doesn't say anything about blood here though. The victim received that cut during her struggle with you. I don't think to know. Limited capabilities to scan the interior of objects. So it's not like the victim was cut open. It was just scanned with the hunt devices. So it's very possible this was a fake your own death situation. And Dr. Helen Joe would have to have been out of it. Therefore, I pose this to you again. Can you even provide a remotely rational reason for it to visit that place just before the incident? If you cannot address that, it's not worth debating the myriad of other problems. Fine, I'll take on any challenges you got. It shouldn't be too hard. If I can give a decent reason for her to go down there, you'll pass. I remember her actions, it should be possible to link something to that display case. I'm thinking, only draw this weapon if you're truly prepared to kill. The victim went to the display case on the lower floor because of this. And I do think it would have to be this autopsy. How's this for a reason?
It is quite convincing. A very good reason to end this trial soon indeed. That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial. It's a clear-cut case with little... This is not a very clear-cut case at all. This took ages. For deliberation will be required, we find you guilty as fuck. Defendant will jump out of the window right now. Suitable criminal charges will be applied to everyone I don't like. That is all. The court is adjourned.
Your fate is the tower. Let's return to the last testimony. There's a fancy way of refilling the penalty there. But we're not going to do that, we're going to just jump to the last stage. I always subject you to going through all that again. The gun then? No. The gun doesn't seem quite right. She didn't actually use that before. Oh, we're looking at what's inside the display case. I was thinking she was going to leave her gun down there. You know, hide it. But, yeah, I remember now because I was saying, only draw this weapon if you're truly prepared to kill. Was saying that the knife was what you wanted to get from that display case. So just put it in there. But that begs a real question. Was it originally inside that case? Yeah. That's what I was thinking, like, since I got introduced. There seems to be some signs suggesting the gun was inside the display case. This seemed a little odd now that we know the victim bought it. This case must have been some leftover from the former tenant. It wouldn't contain a recently acquired item. Only draw this weapon if you are truly prepared to kill. The inscription fortunately fits another piece of evidence as well. This knife the victim carried with her. She must have fetched it from the case downstairs and left her unneeded gun behind. Which, by the way, is pretty odd in the victim's part. There were still plenty of items to sell here upstairs. Why go fetch that so far in advance? Unless, of course, she did it for a certain murder scheme. For the reason this appears, odd to you is because it never happened. And yet, it might explain another part of this case that had seemed out of place from the beginning. There was another thing Miss Holden had with her that could connect it to this display case. It's up to sheath with it. It's kept with the knife, so she had that with her. Does the display case have a lock? A locked glass case. Ooh, yeah. I just made a mistake, so just in case, but I'm pretty sure this key actually unlocks that display case. Did I mention that happening before? I don't know, because I don't remember if I don't think I managed to think of that actually, of what the key was actually for. I'm sure you remember this.
The key certainly left an impression at the beginning of this trial.
What about it? We're not talking about that topic. Weren't you curious at all? If this isn't the key to the study, then what is it for? This case happens to have a lock. If this key fits, then... If the key fits, you must acquit it. You'd have your proof that Mrs. Holden recently dealt with the display case. You love gambling on the evidence, don't you? Let's do it then. Your luck will run out eventually. Now I'm starting to think she isn't actually involved, because she's like, you know what, you might as well go and prove me wrong. She might actually be, I don't think she has no part to play, because Lillian was saying she was lying about something. But as for the true culprit, I have my doubts right now. We will do no such thing. Excuse me? Again? You already went against my advice one time. Observe where it has led us. Have you still not learned this simple lesson? Entertain Aurelia at all, and she will find another way to prolong this trial. Investigate the lower floor again? Such a complete waste of time. Sounds to me like you know I'm right about this. Well, I figured you might. After all, it's very likely the plaintiff wanted to remove this key from the body to hide that connection. It would happen to explain the locked room problem.
Are you talking about the fact that the key to the study is still missing?
Of course. And if you think about who could have taken it, there are only so many options. We already know the plaintiff took display from the body. If you really poisoned the display case, it would make sense to try and hide the connection. However, she messed up and took the wrong key instead, leaving us with a bit of a mystery. No proof. You can't show that happened. Maybe not, but with that possibility in mind, are you really in a position to refuse letting us verify this? It would look pretty bad for you. It's inconsequential. I assure you, we will win. I will listen to my lawyer. There will be no second pointless trips to the second floor. You're straight up obstructing the trial, though. You, of all people, complain about obstruction? How many ridiculous theories have you concocted thus far, which ended up making no difference? Imagine if the police searched your house on such flimsy grounds. Well, if someone was accusing me of a crime, and I thought they did it, I'd want the police to search the house, personally. No matter what grounds they have. You have zero proof any of this is plausible enough to warrant this.
Well, it's certainly rather speculative.
Oh, fucking judge. What are you doing? There was a murder down there, for God's sake. We're gonna have to investigate there at some point.
I'll be honest, Miss Chase. Even without the detective's testimony, it seems... Well, we're talking about a poison that somehow wasn't detected during an autopsy. Well, she could provide evidence the victim went downstairs, or was actually poisoned. It does not hold much water.
It's dead on arrival, that's what it is. I was going to prove it using this key. Even if that key fit the display case, it still would not prove when she actually last used it. It could have been a week ago, with her then simply leaving it in her pocket. Then what about her gun? Are you going to say that was down there for a week? Why wouldn't I? The sole reason you gave for why she might need it today is based on another unfounded theory. She could very well have fetched the knife from somewhere upstairs. And even if she got it from downstairs, it could have occurred ages ago. And even if it happened today, it could have occurred without her getting any cuts or being poisoned. Unless they jammed the lock somehow. Or, you know, swapped the key with a different one. So there's 3 keys. So that the victim would... Or maybe... Maybe she's actually smarter than she looks, and Susan swapped the keys at first. So she had the key to the room when the murder took place, but not the display stand. She thought she had the key to the display stand, it didn't work. Then after death, swapped the keys. You've established exactly 0 parts of that theory of yours. This is some high-grade BS. How am I supposed to prove things if you keep blocking literally everything? How do I put this? Not our problem. Adequately put. If your theories remain this inconsequential, it cannot be helped they are not worth exploring. Wake me up in the unlikely event you manage to prove anything worthwhile. She basically want me to either show proof, actual proof the victim got poisoned, or proof she went downstairs and got cut. All without being allowed to call anyone to the stand or another trip to the lower floor. You're in no position to make demands, so yes. How aggravating. But she's sadly right. The suggestion still lacks any solid ground. They won't be pressed to give me any more info unless I prove at least some parts of my theory. If what I need does not require a new testability or the elevator, it might still be possible to produce. The elevator is in Miss Holden's control. There's no chance there. For any trivial check that can be performed on this floor, I might be able to get on the digital jump off with that. Fine, I'll prove it.
Prove what, Miss Chase?
The question, which part might I be able to prove? Miss Holden was poisoned, Miss Holden went downstairs and got cut mere moments before the crime. I suppose you could retest it for poison. Well, the autopsy does not mention poison, so that won't help. A detective would have done basic checks, so it's likely not be something easily detectable. As the can't check the display case because the stubborn door hair will block it. If I can show there's any poison present at all in this building, that might boost my credibility. I'm going to show you that there's poison involved in this bit. And the evidence for that? Cake. Cova Strawberry Crisis. Now, if this is a poison that has to enter your bloodstream, it would be safe to consume. Right? That's how, if you play Great Ace Tournicus 1, he's consuming a poison that got into his bloodstream because he just had an operation on his teeth. Just had dentistry done. I know it's probably wrong, but I just want to do it anyway. Right here in my court record.
Well, go ahead and show us this evidence. What piece of evidence proves the existence of this poison?
This should prove the point. Your loss. It was a mistake to double down that much.
I certainly do not see how that could prove your claim. There was no evidence in the first place, was there?
Nah, it's probably... Whenever they give you this option, it's usually this. The required proof isn't in the court record. I don't think you're meant to say that part out loud. I didn't say the evidence doesn't exist. This one will come down to another gamble. But if I assume my theory is right, there's a very high chance proof exists in a certain place.
The evidence isn't in the court record, then where in the world is it?
I'm going to reveal that right now. The proof we're looking for is in... The justice room? Well, we can't go to the justice room because, no, that's on the bottom floor. The study, we kind of searched that thoroughly. Display room, searched that too. This very room, maybe. The proof is in this very room. Are you serious, or did you opt to go for the most dramatic option? Big talk. I'm sure you can point out how exactly where it is, right? Didn't have to ask me. The proof we're looking for is right here. Looks like those different options for pointing to each person. You can't see it right now, but there is basically a whenever you hover over something with the mouse, it will show you. This is kind of like cheating a little bit, but it happens. You see in the corner what things, what frame it will take you to. I know there's probably going to be something funny for the judge at Aurelia, so I'll probably do that, but I can't really see anything else to click on. So make sure you hear me out before you pass on your judgment. Wait, this sounds like it will be right. And I didn't think the judges would be right. It's right here.
You have the evidence on your person?
I guess so.
Well, why didn't you say so right away? Go ahead and present it then. What piece of evidence proves the existence of the poison?
No. Victoria. I bet you're hiding the evidence again, Victoria. They say cornered animals bite, but this erudite accusation fails to impress. Aside from the most valuable mind on earth, there is nothing of significance on this bench. That stated, I refuse to submit to something as uncultivated as a basis search. You are only permitted to admire my horticulture fashion from a tolerable distance.
Certainly, the score will not approve a search without probable cause. You should have known better than to assume otherwise, Miss Chase.
Now for Holden. Miss Holden already has a history of tampering with evidence. Who knows what else she's hiding on her person? Dangerous game. You're in no position to demand a search of me. I hope the court would show any obvious bias like that. Oh please, you call that bias?
I'm sorry, Miss Chase. My hands are bound. We do still need the plaintiff's cooperation if we are to leave this tower. That said, I wouldn't have approved of this even under normal circumstances. You will have to establish real merit for your theory first. This will be an unlawful search entirely lacking probable cause. You should have known better than to assume otherwise, Miss Chase.
Well, all this talk, we're forgetting she's literally keeping us in the tower against her will, our will. She's definitely going to be charged for that, or she should be anyway. Why don't we just grab her? Someone can punch her in the face until she lets us out. Seems like it is the judge. Make sure you hear me out before you pass any judgment. I'm sorry to do this to you, but we are already overrunning. I wanted to see where that would go. We're going to have to wait and find out what exactly the judge is hiding next time. Because it seems like Aurelia really is going to accuse anyone and everyone. Including our friend the judge. But we're very interested to see where this goes. So just thanks for watching. And eagerly anticipate the next video.